Welcome, have a nice day. Today is Sunday, 4th of May 2025. Starting the newspaper with the world news, including at least one dead house is damaged after plane crashes into Simi Valley in southern California. Discussed air defense sanctions on Russia, Ukraine, Zelensky on best meeting with Trump. Man bitten over 200 times helps create powerful snake antivenom. Warren Buffett shocks shareholders by announcing his intention to retire at the end of the year. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu postpones our upcoming visit to Azerbaijan. Witnesses an aid groups report looting in Gaza after 2 months of Israel's blockade. United Nations slams Israeli strikes in the Syria as clashes with the Druze fighters intensify. Ukraine says it shot down Russian fighter jet from a sea drone for first time. Nobody will quarantine town of Maytan in Kyiv. Kremlin warns after Ukraine refuses after offer for a ceasefire during Moscow parade. At least 7 killed in the South Sudan bombing, says MSF. Rubio congratulates Australia's Albanese on the election victory. Now, from the Hindu newspaper, we have the truce between Israel and Islamists. The small minority sect in Syria is caught between the hostile Islamists who see them as heretics and an aggressive Israel which is bombing Syria in the name of protecting them. The Druze religion emerged out of Islamism, which is an offshoot of the Shia Islam in the 11th century Egypt. Clashes first broke out in the southern outskirts of the Damascus, Syria capital, after an audio clip emerged on social media of a man criticizing Prophet Muhammad (AS). The audio was attributed to a Druze cleric who later denied any role. Angry Sunni Islamists aligned with the current government in the Syria started attacking Druze community members, and armored Druze fighters fought back. Violence spread across the Jaramana and Sanaya near Damascus and Syria. In the southern Syria, the heartland of the Druze, Sheikh Himakat al-Hijri, the leader of the Syria's Druze, denounced the genocidal campaign against his community. When Bashar al-Assad regime fell in December and the Islamist Hurriyat Tahrir al-Sham established its role in Damascus, the Druze, like other minority communities in the country, called for their religious and political rights to be protected. Syria's new rulers promised that minority rights will be respected, but those assurances had little in preventing the outbreak of sectarian clashes as violence spread. Israel carried out multiple airstrikes against the pro-government groups in the Syria to protect the Druze. Modi doubles down on commitment to take firm and decisive action against the Pahalgam perpetrators. PM's comments amidst a call for de-escalation. Lavrov. European Union Finance Minister Kallas speak to Jaishankar. Modi meets Angola President. Prime Minister Narendra Modi with the President of Angola, João Manuel Goncalves Lourenço, during the joint press statement at the Hyderabad House in New Delhi on Saturday, May 3, 2025. India is committed to take firm and decisive action against the terrorists responsible for the Pahalgam attack and their supporters, said Prime Minister Narendra Modi after talks with the Angolan President João Manuel Goncalves Lourenço here on Saturday, May 3, 2025. Mr. Modi comments more than 10 days after the attacks where the terrorists responsible for gunning down 26 men have still not been apprehended, reiterate his former statement on a strong response for the attack. We both agree that terrorism is the biggest threat to the humanity, Mr. Modi said as India and Angola exchanged 5 agreements, including a defense cooperation agreement. We are committed to take firm and decisive action against the terrorists and those who support them. We thank Angola for their support in our fight against cross-border terrorism, Mr. Modi added after the talks with Mr. Lourenço, who is also the current chair of the African Union. United Kingdom and India can be exemplars of how you can use culture bring people closer together, United Kingdom Culture Secretary. During a 3-day visit to India, United Kingdom Culture Secretary Lisa Nadi emphasized the significance of newly signed bilateral cultural cooperation agreement designed to foster deeper ties between British and Indian creative sectors and museums. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar with the United Kingdom Secretary of State for Culture and Media Sports Lisa Nandi are on the sidelines of the Waves Summit 2025 in the Mumbai on May 2nd, 2025. India and the United Kingdom can be the world's exemplars of using cultural collaboration to transcend national boundaries and bring people together, said Lisa Nandi, UK Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport, said on Saturday, May 3, 2025. On Friday, May 2nd, 2025, India and the United Kingdom signed a new bilateral cultural cooperation agreement. This pact is expected to facilitate increased United Kingdom creative exports to India and enable more partnerships between British and Indian museums and cultural institutions. Gaza rescuers say 3 babies among 11 killed in Israeli strike. Civil defense spokesman Mahmoud Abbasal reported 11 killed after the bombardment of the Al Bayram, a family home in the Khan Yunis camp in the southern Gaza. Abdurrahman Sinwar carries the body of his infant son Yahya Sinwar, who was killed in an Israeli army strike in the Khan Yunis Gaza Strip on May 3, 2025. Gaza's Civil Defense Agency said on Saturday that an overnight Israeli strike on the Khan Yunis refugee camp killed at least 11 people, including 3 babies up to a year old. Civil Defense spokesman Mohammed Bassel reported 11 killed after the bombardment of the Al Baydam family home in the Khan Yunis camp in the southern Gaza around 3 a.m. Mr. Bassel said 8 of the dead had been identified and were all from the same extended family, including a boy and a girl, both 1-year-olds, and a month-old baby. An Israeli army spokesperson confirmed the strike, saying the attack targeted a terrorist Hamas member without giving further details. At the scene, rescue workers and residents searched through the rubble with their bare hands, eliminating the destruction with the handheld torches. One rescuer carried the lifeless body of an infant from the wreckage. Footage captured by an AFP journalist showed. Faika Abu Hatab, a resident in a nearby building, said she was a bright light. She saw a bright light, and then there was an explosion and dust covered the entire area. Now going towards the Hindustan Times newspaper states that IMF's Indian Executive Director Dr. K.V. Subramaniam are fired 6 months before his term ends. Dr. Krishna Murthy Subramaniam's term as the Indian Executive Director for the IMF was cut short by the Appointments Committee of the Cabinet. The Executive Director of India at the International Monetary Fund has been fired with immediate effect as per the government order dated April 30. Subramaniam, who was the country's youngest chief economic advisor from 2018 to 2022, joined as the Executive Director India at the Indian Monetary Fund, International Monetary Fund, in November 2022. Under this role, he represented India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Bhutan at the IMF. India's economy grew 66% in the last decade. Prime Minister Modi at a post-budget webinar. A government notice on the matter said the Appointment Committee of the Cabinet ACC has approved termination of Dr. Krishna Murthy Subramanian as Executive Director India at the International Monetary Fund with immediate effect. Manipur shuts down to mark 2 years of clashes, see widespread public support. A candlelight march is also scheduled for Saturday evening at Kangla Nongpok, Thong, to honor those who lost their lives in the conflict. Impal, a shutdown called by various groups from the media and the Kogi-Zoe communities to mark 2 years of the ethnic clashes in the Manipur disrupted normal life across several parts of the northern eastern state on Saturday. Markets, educational institutions, and private offices remained closed while public transport stayed off the roads. On the May 3rd, 2023, ethnic violence broke out between the Impal Valley-based Métis and adjoining hills-based Kuki-Zo groups, leaving 260 dead, 1,500 injured, and over 70,000 people displaced. Amid growing tensions, Chief Minister N. Biren Singh resigned in February month this year, and Manipur was placed under the president's rule. The State Assembly, which has a tenure till 2027, has since been put under suspended animation. On the Friday, security was tightened across the Manipur after a Meiteis group coordinating Committee on Manipur Integrity (COMI) called a shutdown in the valley districts, while the Zomi Students Federation (ZSF) and the Kuki Students Organization (KSO) declared the same for the hills districts to mark the second anniversary of the violence. Now, going towards the economy of the country from the business point of view, India's Russian oil imports at 9-month high in the April month, uptick United States crude volumes. Urals crude, the mainstay of New Delhi's oil imports from the Moscow, continues to trade at the discount to rival grades from India's traditional suppliers in the West Asia. Russian oil flows into India touched a 9-month high in April month, primarily due to the abundant availability of Moscow's crude for exports as well as the low oil prices, with the latter ensuring sufficient number of non-sanctioned tankers to haul the oil to Indian ports without falling foul of international curbs. April month also saw the India's oil imports from the United States rise to an 8-month high, evidently on the account of the strategic trade consideration aimed at the evolving geopolitical and geo-economic scenario. India's Russian oil imports in the April month rose 2.1% over the March to 1.92 million barrels per day, even as overall oil imports contracted 7.3% sequentially to 4.88 million barrels per day, per provisional tanker data from the commodity market analytics firm Kepler. The share of Russian crude in India's oil import basket rose to 39.3% in the April from 35.7% in the March. State Bank of India expects slower loan growth of 12-13% in the financial year 2026 amid tariff-related risks. US President Donald Trump's announcement of the reciprocal tariffs has increased the risk of global growth slowdown, which trade wars seem to be escalating. The country's largest bank, State Bank of India (SBI), has revised its loan growth target for the country for the current financial year 2026 downward to 12-13% from an earlier projection of 14-16% amid tariff-related uncertainties, its chairman C.S. Setty said on Saturday. The bank reported a 10% drop in its net profit, rupees 18,643 crore in the quarter ended March 2025, compared to rupees 20,698 crore in the year ago. United States import curbs will remain higher for China, Vietnam, and Cambodia in the Panagaria. Speaking at an event hosted by the Isaac Center for the Public Policy, Panagaria said the United States-China trade conflict is here to stay, and that a successful trade deal with the United States could pave the way. Import restrictions in the United States, whether although tariffs of rules of origin, will ultimately be higher for China, Vietnam, and Cambodia than for India, according to the 16th Finance Commission chairperson Arvind Panagaria. Speaking at an event hosted by the Isaac Center for Public Policy, Panagaria said the United States-China trade conflict is here to stay, and that a successful trade deal with the United States could pave the way for agreements with the European Union and the United Kingdom on the Viksit Bharat aspiration. Panagaria said India could achieve a per capita income of $14,000 by 2047 in the spite of all the gloom. There are some challenges looming from the trade side. At the moment, my own assessment is that we will come out of it stronger rather than weaker, he said. According to the Panagaria, the United States wants to decouple from China on the grounds that it has operated rather unfairly. He noted there is a strong perception within the United States administration that Chinese goods continue to enter the country through the transshipments via Vietnam, Cambodia, and other neighboring countries. Now going to the science and tech, we have our vaccine preventable disease rising, secure future. Pulse polio drops administered to a child in a Palakkad as a part of the vaccination program in Kerala in 2024. The story so far diseases that can be prevented through vaccination such as measles, meningitis, and yellow fever are emerging. World health leaders have warned because billions of children are missing vaccinations due to the funding cuts and disruptions in the immunization program. The World Health Organization (WHO), UNICEF, and Gavi have issued a joint warning stating that immunization efforts are also being threatened by widespread misinformation, population growth, and humanitarian crisis. They urge leaders around the world to strengthen the vaccination programs and give the issue their urgent and sustained political attention. World Solar Day, from blogs to panels, cultivating a solar-powered future. With the benefits for food and energy production, agri-photovoltaics promise a dual harvest as well as a prosperity for India's smallholder farmers. A view of an experimental agri-photovoltaic setup at the University of Arizona 2020. In 1981, German scientists Adolf Guitzberger and Armin Zestro published a foundational paper arguing that the dual land use for food and energy could bring significant benefits. They proposed elevating solar modules by about 2 meters above the ground to allow the crops to grow underneath, giving rise to the concept of the agri-photovoltaics (APVs). APVs integrate solar energy generation with agricultural production, offering a model that maximizes land use efficiency while augmenting farmers' income. With APVs, farmers will also be able to move energy back to the grid at the determined feed in the tariff, forging new streams of income alongside the agricultural ones. The growing importance of artificial intelligence in business education, management institutions must equip our students with the strategic, ethical, and practical expertise to lead and innovate in an artificial intelligence-driven business world. Artificial intelligence helping businessmen make strategy and forecast. With AI drastically changing organizational landscapes, management students must understand its strategic ramifications and technological underpinnings. AI affects crucial domains like operations, finance, marketing, and human resource, and so business schools should ensure that the curriculum emphasizes topics such as automation, artificial intelligence-driven decision-making, predictive analytics, and consumer insights, recognizing artificial intelligence limits such as databases, privacy issues, and the need for human oversight in crucial decision-making processes is also necessary, as is the need to be in line with the legal requirements, ethical governance, and regulatory compliance. These schools need to address the adoption of artificial intelligence by giving students the tools they need to overcome opposition and propel digital transformation. So students must be taught how to integrate artificial intelligence into company strategy, match artificial intelligence projects with the corporate goals, and cultivate innovative attitudes. Further, they have to learn to close the gap between the technical know-how and business strategy by collaborating with the data scientists and artificial intelligence experts. This requires a diversified strategy that includes data analytics classes, artificial intelligence-driven case studies and simulations, internships and industry partnerships, and workshops by industry experts. At last, there's a famous personality of India, that's Oval Pakir General Abdul Kalam, or APJ Abdul Kalam, both anniversary 15th October 1931 up to 27th July 2015. Was an Indian aerospace scientist and a statesman who served as the President of India from 2002 to 2007. Born and raised in a Muslim family in Rameshwaram, Tamil Nadu, Kalam studied physics and aerospace engineering. He spent the next 4 decades as a scientist and a science administrator, mainly at the Defense Research and Development Organization (DRDO) and Indian Space Research Organization (ISRO), and was intimately involved in India's civilian space program and military missile development efforts. He was also known as the Missile Man of India for his work on the development of ballistic missile and launch vehicle technology. He also played a pivotal organizational, technical, and a political role in the Pokhran second nuclear test in 1998, India's second site test after the first test in the 1974. Kalam was elected as the President of India in 2002 with the support of both the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party and the then opposition Indian National Congress. He was widely referred to as the People's President. He engaged in teaching, writing, and public services. After his presidency, he was a recipient of several awards, including Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian honor. While delivering a lecture at an Institute of Management, Shillong, Kalam collapsed and died from an apparent cardiac arrest on 27th July 2015, aged 83. Thousands attended the funeral ceremony held in the hometown of Rameshwaram, where he was buried with the full state honors. A memorial was inaugurated near his hometown in 2017. Mr. Kalam says a very famous quotation. He says that be silent in those situations when you feel one can't understand your feelings from your words, and when one can understand you without any word. He also says that difficulties in your life do not come to destroy you, but to help you realize your hidden potential and power. Let difficulties know that you too are difficult. He also says that it is very easy to defeat someone, but it is very hard to win someone. Okay, thank you.